My parents thought one legal document would change everything. They were wrong. My name is Daniel Carter. The day my parents handed me a thick envelope, they smiled like they had already won. "It's over," my father said. "Once you read this, you'll understand you have no choice." Inside was a legal document they believed would destroy everything I had spent 15 years building. They expected me to beg. They expected me to surrender. Instead, that single document exposed the one secret they had hidden for decades. And before sunset, they were the ones who lost everything. People think betrayal always comes from strangers. It doesn't. Sometimes it comes from the two people who taught you how to ride a bicycle. Growing up, I believed my parents loved me. Maybe they did, but they loved money even more. My father owned a successful construction company. My mother handled the finances. Everyone in town respected them. They donated to charities, sponsored school events, smiled in every family photograph. Behind closed doors, they were completely different. Nothing was ever enough. Every dinner conversation ended with one sentence: "Success belongs to whoever controls the paperwork." Back then, I didn't understand what my father meant. Years later, I would never forget those words. When I turned 24, I joined the family company. I worked harder than anyone else. While my friends traveled, I spent weekends visiting construction sites. Employees trusted me. Clients liked me. Within 6 years, our profits nearly doubled. Everyone assumed I would eventually inherit the business. Apparently, so did I. Until one rainy Monday morning. My parents invited me to dinner. The atmosphere felt strangely formal. No laughter, no small talk, just silence. Halfway through dessert, my father placed a folder on the table. "We've made some decisions." Inside were new company ownership papers. I stared in disbelief. According to the documents, I owned absolutely nothing. Every share had been transferred into a private family trust, controlled entirely by my parents. My position as executive director could be terminated at any moment. I looked up. "There must be some mistake." "There isn't," my mother replied calmly. "We're protecting the family's future." "My future too?" She didn't answer. Instead, my father smiled. "If you stay loyal, you'll always have a job." A job, after spending years building their company. That night, something inside me changed forever. I resigned the following morning. Everyone thought I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Maybe I was. For a while. Finding investors wasn't easy. Banks rejected me. Former clients refused to return my calls because they feared my parents. I rented a tiny office with secondhand furniture. Sometimes I worked 18 hours a day. Some nights I slept on the office couch because I couldn't afford rent for both the business and an apartment. But something unexpected happened. The employees who respected me started leaving my parents' company. Not because I asked them to, because they trusted me more. Then came the first major contract. Then another. Within 5 years, my small company became one of the fastest growing firms in the state. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living in my parents' shadow. I was building something that truly belonged to me. That's when they came back. My mother called after nearly 3 years of silence. "We're proud of you." I almost laughed. They weren't proud. They needed something. They invited me to another family dinner. Different house, different smiles, same manipulation. "We've been thinking," my father began. "The family companies should merge again." I already knew where the conversation was heading. It would make us stronger together. "No," he blinked. "You didn't even hear the offer." I heard enough. His smile disappeared. "You'll regret this." I already survived losing everything once. I won't survive trusting you twice. I walked away. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. 3 weeks later, a courier delivered a legal envelope. Inside was a lawsuit. My parents claimed that my company had been created using confidential information belonging to the family business. They wanted ownership of everything: buildings, equipment, clients, even my company name. According to them, none of my success legally belonged to me. Friends told me to settle. Lawyers warned the case could last years. The media loved the story. Son sues parents. Parents sue son. Everyone had an opinion, but nobody knew the whole truth. While reviewing thousands of pages with my attorney, we noticed something strange. One document referenced an older partnership agreement. Neither my parents nor their lawyers had submitted the original, only a summary. That felt unusual. My attorney requested the original copy from the county archives. 3 days later, the clerk called. "You should come here yourself." When we opened the dusty archive box, my attorney became completely silent. Hidden behind the partnership agreement was another notarized document, an amendment, signed 22 years earlier by my grandfather. I had never seen it before. According to that amendment, if my parents ever attempted to use the family business to financially harm one of their direct descendants, their controlling authority over the family trust would immediately become invalid. Control would automatically transfer to the oldest grandchild, me. The amendment existed because my grandfather feared exactly this situation. He had watched my parents become increasingly obsessed with power, so he quietly added one final layer of protection. Then he passed away before telling anyone, except the law. Suddenly, everything made sense. My parents never expected anyone to find that document, because they assumed nobody would ever search the archived records. The courtroom became completely silent when the judge finished reading the amendment. My father's attorney looked stunned. My mother's face turned pale. For the first time, they realized the lawsuit had activated the very clause that stripped them of control. The legal document they believed would destroy me destroyed their own authority instead. The judge dismissed every claim against my company, then confirmed the trust amendment remained fully enforceable. Within weeks, independent trustees replaced my parents. Their voting rights disappeared. They remained wealthy, but they no longer controlled the empire they had spent decades protecting. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded us. Someone asked if I planned to take revenge. I thought about every sleepless night, every rejection, every betrayal. Then I answered honestly, no, because revenge built their lives. I'd rather build mine. Months later, I visited my grandfather's grave. I placed fresh white flowers beside the headstone. "I finally understand," I whispered. It was never about money. It was about protecting the next generation. Today, my company employs more than 800 people. Former competitors have become partners. Young entrepreneurs often ask for advice. I always tell them the same thing. Contracts matter, signatures matter, legal documents matter, but character matters even more. Because eventually, every signature reveals the person who wrote it. My parents believed one legal document would change everything. They were right. They were just wrong about whose life it would change.